Good morning. Today is Sunday, January 12th, 2025, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast, looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So we are at this point in mid-January. It's again January 12th, so we're closing in on really the big event in January is going to be the inauguration, which happens in not this upcoming Monday, not tomorrow, but the following Monday on the 20th, which is also Martin Luther King Day. So the banks will be closed that day. You'll have the inauguration, and then after that, I truly suspect that we will be off to the races. Like I don't think the this new administration is going to pause or hold or kind of hold back with the crypto stuff. I think coming out the gate they're going to come pretty strong. So I think you have about a week or so to really kind of make different positions and kind of move your money the way that it needs to before things start to take it off. Because again, we're around about 100,000 right now. This is the monthly chart. We're at 100,000. Uh, I think it's going to increase pretty rapidly once that goes. Because again, people are waiting for the confirmation. They're waiting for, kind of the all green. Just making sure that everything actually does go through and that there's no kind of realistically malarkey that kind of pops up before the inauguration. So that change of hands of the administration, I think, is going to be significant. So this is again the monthly chart. So we are now in this is December. It had a really high peak, but then it kind of came back down. We went up to 102 on the month of January. That was our high point, and now it's still positive. So it ended down at about 92,000, which we'll talk about 92 once we look at the weekly and monthly chart. I'm sorry, the weekly and daily chart. But you see it's still positive right now, and it really cannot break this $92,000 level. So if we look at the weekly chart, we see that there is a very clear line in the sand, like right here. That from here going up, and then on the way coming down, it just couldn't break it. So people are like, oh well, it's gonna go down to 50K. Are you serious right now? Are you actually serious? Like it's not gonna happen because the thing is, it can't even break 92. What in the world makes people think that it's gonna go down to 50? It just doesn't make sense. So really, even if you got down to here, I think worst case scenario to clean up all this major imbalance right here, you could get down to 74. But even that, I think, is a crazy stretch, especially with the new administration coming in again, being so pro crypto. This is just a stall period. It's a range, and we'll see that more on the daily chart. But um, put some of the drawings on right now. You can see really that again. I drew this white line at 92,000. Maybe I should change that to a different color. Let's make it blue. I don't want purple. Yeah, let's make it blue. So 90, and actually we'll put it directly at 92,000. Coordinates 92. Okay. Just to make it a clean number. So you have this line in the sand really at 92 where it's like for week after week after week after week. So since before Thanksgiving, I think since before Thanksgiving, it has not been able to violate this $92,000 level. And it might wick below there for a quick second, but it's not staying there for any time. So that's what I mean when I say like you're not going down to like 75 anymore. And even if we look at the trend line here, and it'll become more apparent on the daily chart. So you have a bounce here, a little bit of a bounce here off of this line, and then it just really shot up. So let's say even in the worst case scenario, it breaks at 92,000. All right, well, you also have this channel that's right here, let's say at like, I don't know, 80 something thousand. And the further this goes on, the more this gets up the chart. So the higher this will go. So that's 80,000. And then you have this at, this, kind of uptrend line right here. Even if it returns to that uptrend line, it's still protected at 80,000. So anyone thinking that, oh, well, maybe we'll get another chance at like 70 or 50, another, abandon all hope. It's not going to happen. So this is your weekly chart. You have your big upward channel. It's bound right now between 92,000 and 100,000, and it's just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And really, if you had a strategy, all you gotta do is like buy here, sell here, and that's what you do in a range. You buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, until it breaks out, and then you just continue the buying onslaught. So and even 50,000. So let's look at that for a second. So we see this long-term support. This long-term support, and let's go back even further. This long-term support has started in 2021. It is now 2025. Is something that I drew months and months and months ago, and it has not been violated yet. So you have this area to where it shows up an area of like support and resistance. So it was long-term resistance all the way through here, but then eventually, for several months it tried to break here, and it finally did. And you see it came above here, and it could bear this candle right here. This is on August 5th. it couldn't even barely tap that long-term support, which is right at 50,000. So if it could barely tap there in August of last year, that was 4 or 5 months ago. There's no real chance in my mind that it's going to come back down and do it again, unless there's again something just super catastrophic. But then at that point, does it really matter anymore? Cataclysmic or whatever. Again, you had this little tap here, bounce, bounce, and here's where I talk about the trend line. And let's look at the moving average as well. So you had a bounce here, a bounce here, came up, and then you've just been ranging here in this area. But let's look at the trend line. So you had bounce, kind of a bounce here, and then it just kind of continued going up there. So really, the area that you have is about 78 to 80,000 ish. But the thing is, you also have the moving averages. So let's look at the white. The white one is the 50 moving average, exponential moving average. It couldn't break 92 when the moving average was down here. So now the moving average is up here, which provides additional support. And it's very much so in line with price. The moving averages has caught up, so it has returned to the mean, or the mean has finally caught up. The average has caught up. So here's your 100-day moving average, which is just a little bit lower, so maybe 88. And then your 200-day moving average, which is probably one of your strongest ones out there, and one that a lot of people look at, it's sitting right at 80,000, and it's sitting on top of this trend line that I was talking about. So it's one of those things where it'll bounce and bounce, and maybe it comes down a little bit. Who knows? I can't say whether it will or not. I think you could have some type of flash crash down to 80 something. Who knows? But I really think the overall direction at this point is up. I think that $92,000 level has held pretty strong, and I think it's going to continue to hold strong in the future. So anticipating once this inauguration happens that we see some type of bounce, and we just continue on to the upside. So 4 hour chart, let's take a look here. A little bit better picture. So like it gets clear and clear as you go down. So you have this bounce here at 92, 1, 2. Let's look at all the taps. So since Thanksgiving, you had an attempt to break it here. That's 1 point. 2, 3, 4. And then it finally broke. Okay, so let's start again. But now this was resistance, now it's support. 1, 2, second attempt. Ooh, I didn't mean to move that. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts and still unable to. And it's the weekend now. So I just don't suspect that, it's going to do that anytime soon. But price ever so slightly below the moving average. But again, there was a run up to 100K, 102K, and then like the steep drop. This kind of shakes people out. But unless you know which is like, this is like, oh, well, it was going up, but then it crashed. People get nervous around this area. But then if you know what you're looking at and you see that this is stopping at 92,000 every single time and you're able to clock that, then it doesn't become so scary. You just kind of watch it and then it keeps on going. So I really do think that this is going to, and I really do anticipate this, again, breaking this 102 level. You got to break 2 levels. You got to break this 102. You got to break 108. Once you do that, we're off to the races, because again, by the time it does that, the inauguration would have gone through. And once that happens, there's nothing else to look forward to except like good whatever positive crypto policy that this new administration, the not even just the president, the president, the House, the Senate, and again, they're all on the same ticket. Regardless of what your politics are, you got to look at the situation for what it is. You have a pro crypto president who's Republican, a pro crypto House who's Republican. You have a pro crypto Senate who's Republican, and then now you have a pro crypto SEC chair, FDIC, all these other administrations that regulate crypto are positive on crypto and they're pro crypto. So I mean, I think overall it's going to be good. So at this point, I don't have too much else to talk about on the chart. That's kind of it. Like it's the 92,000 level and 100. You got to watch the 102 and the 108. Those are the levels to watch. So 100, 102, 108. Once those get done, like we're just going to be off to the races. Let's look at the news really. So Forex Factory, January 1st, bank holiday, and unemployment claims, less unemployment claims, so that's good. PMI, that looks like that went up. That's not a huge thing at all, but most of these aren't really. The big one here is the non-farm employment change, non-farm payroll, whatever you want to call it. So the projection was 164. So for it to hit 256,000, that's pretty good. So that beat expectations pretty solidly. So let's zoom in here for a second. So yeah, it beat expectations just like it did in October. So that's good to see. Unemployment rate went down ever so slightly from 4.2 projected to 4.1, so it's good. Average hourly earnings stayed the same. Well, it meet the forecast pretty much. And then coming up this week, the major thing that you have is inflation. Inflation numbers will be released on Wednesday morning. Right now, they're actually expecting that goes up. So 2.7 to 2.9, little bit of a jump there, but um, we'll see how those expectations get met. Because like really, at a certain point, we were up to, oh my gosh, it was like eight, was that 7, 9% inflation year over year? That was crazy. Like in July 2022, and then they started, clamping rates down, and then we finally came down. But we see stalled out, and then kind of started a little bit of downtrend here. But that I think this is a flat area that we'll see. I don't really see us going. 2% inflation is like right here, so we're kind of there at this point. I think that they're gonna try to really fight it until they get down. So they said we should have about 2 more interest rates cuts in 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3, but they're projecting 2 for throughout the course of the year. So we'll see how that works out. None of the other things are really super important at this point, I would say. Coming up the following week, you do have the on the 20th, I was talking about earlier, both the bank holiday, which is Martin Luther King Day, and the inauguration is also on the 20th. So that's these are the 2 big things that we're looking forward to. So the inflation and the inauguration. So those are the things we're looking at. Uh Gosh, let me move this real quick. Okay, so this is the Trump era. This is the FDIC. So Trump era FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Commission or whatever it's called, corporation, whatever. Yeah, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation outlines crypto banking reassessment to end Operation Choke Point. So Operation Choke Point was basically a thing where they were trying to clamp down on all the access points to where people could get into and out of crypto, and basically debanking people and not allowing people to move freely within these crypto markets. And they've called it shameful at this point. It has been really shameful the way that they've done that. And yeah, shameful right here. Evidence of a shameful pattern pretty much that has damaged both the American people and their access to crypto and the broader industry in general. So it's something that we really want to see fixed. It's something that we want to see the American people really have the ability to transact freely. Um, yeah, let me see. FDIC signals potential shift from debanking tactics and pause letters. So it's they were very anti-crypto when it came to that regard. So definitely good to see that we're moving in the right direction here. So still Operation Choke Point, how regulators fight Bitcoin with financial censorship. And that's really what it is, financial censorship. You're not, and you see like they're covering the horse's eyes and all this. And it's, you got the Uncle Sam here, whoever that is. So they really have done a number on the crypto industry in America. So hopefully that comes to an end. I think it will with this new administration. And hey, hopefully there's the freedom to transact. I hope we have the freedom to transact in whatever currency that we have, or whether it be crypto or US dollars or some type of other currency. I just hope that, we get our stuff together. And as always, I like to look at another chart too. So this is the Bitcoin address is holding, greater than X amount of Bitcoin per year. So if you have greater than 0.01, in 2025, there's 12 million people with more than 0.01. This is in the entire world, not just in America. 12 million people holding more than 0.01 Bitcoin. So at this point, 0.01 Bitcoin is worth, let's call it around 100,000. All right, we'll call it 92. We'll call it 92,000. It's 92,000. So 0.01 times 92,000, that is what, like $900? Is that right? Yeah. So 92. Yeah, I think that's about $900. So you end up doing that. And that shows you that it doesn't cost that much, and you're one of 12 million at that point who hold that much Bitcoin. And then let's look at point one. Okay, so now that's like 9,000 something dollars, or currently. So the current Bitcoin price is like 94,000. So point one Bitcoin is $9,000. Only 4.5 million people have $9,000 worth of Bitcoin in their wallet. So as of 2025, and you see that number has held for quite some time. I think it's going to increase. And if you hold one Bitcoin, if you hold a single Bitcoin, so if you hold point one, you're doing great. And again, this is 4.5 million addresses versus not only 8 billion people, but corporations. But this is municipalities and cities. This is really, because anyone can make a Bitcoin wallet. People who hold more than one Bitcoin, there aren't even a million people in a million addresses. And I say people, it's not even people, because you can have multiple addresses. You can have multiple wallets, multiple addresses. So it's actually less people than this. So like, you divide a million by 8 billion and you get a really small number. So it's less than 1% of people. Well, actually, let's do that math real quick. What's the calculator say? Um, calculator. So let's say it's a million. 1 million divided by, let's just call it around 8 billion. That's eight. Is that 8 billion? Yep, that's 8 billion. 0.00125, times 100%. 0.01, not 1%, 0.0125% of people in the world hold zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, or addresses hold zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. So less than 0.05% of people hold one Bitcoin. So that's significant. That's very significant. So yeah, I mean, it kind of gives you hope a little bit to where it's like, hey, I haven't been left behind just yet. So I'm joining a rare class if I hold even zero point 0.1 Bitcoin or zero point zero 0.01 or one. So let's look at one more chart and then I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. So one thing I was looking at earlier, where is it at? It's a price chart. It is addresses. If I can't find it in like 15 seconds, I'm just gonna go ahead and end it. But that's crazy. Where'd it go? Treasury tree maps, on-chain indicators. Where's the addresses with a dollar? Address and process and loss. I should have had it pulled up earlier. Market cycle. I may just end it here. Basically, what I was going to try to show is that the projected price for Bitcoin is no less than 200,000, but I think it's actually going to be about 400,000. What by the time we look at it, um, top bottom. What's the top cap? Oh yeah, price forecast tools. This is one I was looking for. Um, so currently you have again the black line is Bitcoin's price, and the orange, green, and red and blue and purple lines, those are price models. So if I look down here, Bitcoin price is black, your CBBD, your top gap, delta top, balance price. I'm not gonna go into what all these are, but again, they're just know that they're models. You can go look at this. So right now, Bitcoin is thoroughly in the middle of these, and I could say it could go either way, but really, realistically, it's not going down. The balance price is 32,000, but I say that the top price right now, as of today, is the Delta top is 99,000. I mean, 199,000, $200,000, and the current price is nine. So that means they're projecting that it's going to go up another $100,000 easily. So let's look at the past. It always hit this red line at least. It hit the red line at least, at least, at least. So we're going to go to at least 200,000. But in the past, okay, it's also hit the blue line. It's hit the blue line here, hit the blue line here. I understand why I did hit the blue line here because they were fighting crypto very hard in the past. Um, yeah, during this cycle, they were fighting crypto globally very hard. So there's much less sell pressure, much less there's less supply, there's less sell pressure, there's less um political adversaries that are trying to they're drawing the wave right now. So let's assume that we're going to hit at least 200,000. But also let's look at this blue line. Where's the blue line at? I've said before, I think my number for Bitcoin this cycle is 450,000. So the top cap right now is saying that we're at $450,450. Um, this is what I'm going with. I met my original projection was 250,000 by the end of 2025. I think we're going to hit 450,000 by the end of 2025. Now, I just seeing the landscape and where it's come in the last year and a half to 2 years. I have all confidence in the world that we'll get there. And even if we don't, if we get close, that's fine. So that's pretty much it. I don't really have too much else to talk about at this point. Again, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out any crypto-based resources on christalkscrypto.com. And other than that, y'all, I'll see y'all on the moon. Take care. Bye bye.